My name is James Pepper on the Australia Cannabis Control Board. Today is Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. It's 4 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. Don't have a lot of opening remarks today. I figured I'd give a quick rule update. We over the course of 2 meetings, went through all the public comments and kind of resolved all the final issues that are outstanding. Those are up on our YouTube page for anyone that wants to go back and watch those. And Gabe is in the process of kind of converting everything that we discussed into final language. And then he's preparing a packet for LCAR, which hopefully will get on their agenda for early May. And that's all I got. You guys have any comments, opening remarks at all?
Nope.
All right. Well, then why don't we approve our minutes? I've got our regular meeting last month on 3/26, and then we had the 2 special meetings about our rules, and then the one just evidentiary hearing. So there's April 2nd, April 8th, and April 16th.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And now public comment. If you'd like to make a comment, we got a couple of hands raised already. Please raise your virtual hand. We'll do our best to call on you in the order that they were raised, and then we'll move to anyone who's joined via phone. And Eli, start with you.
All right, thank you. I am reaching out in regards to the Vermont Cannabis Convention coming up Friday the 2nd, Saturday the 3rd. And I guess I am just reaching out because clearly we cannot, as the convention, interpret the CCB's rules. I cannot give guidance to folks about how to remain compliant. All I can do is encourage them to reach out to the CCB and follow the CCB rules and guidelines. I have, however, taken the extra step in years past, including this year, of reaching out to the CCB and saying, these are the rules we put in place to support compliant behavior, 21 plus event, providing the advertising in all of the descriptions that we use in order to encourage compliance for licensees in how they participate. I reached out this year, January 31st, the first time to the board, again, notifying of our policies. And I received a response on March 12th, indicating that they could not obviously approve or certify anything we were putting out there, but noting that we said there would be no consumption and there would be no public sales, and that if anything, remind people to have their program ads approved for advertising. So we did all of that. And then I started to get phone calls and texts. We all saw the email on Monday that went out with guidance. Oh, and I should say, to follow up, I did receive a response on March 13th from the CCB saying that they were not going to issue any guidance because they assumed people knew what the rules were by now. And I certainly understand that. We've been doing this convention at the same location for 5 years in full view and transparency, and proactively explaining what our rules are. And offering to help communicate the CCB's rules, which are really not our role at all, but we'd like to do that. So I was just shocked this week when I saw the email on Monday. The CCB had declined until the Monday of the event to issue any kind of guidance. They issued a reminder about the display being approved, which seems like it's not enough time or notice for people to realistically do that in time, including yourselves to approve all that the week of. And then continue to hear feedback from exhibitors that they were being advised not to bring any cannabis products. So I guess it's important to acknowledge, it doesn't seem, I understand the rules are in place, but it seems like the interpretation of the rules have changed. And I think it's really disappointing the way that that interpretation has been communicated, especially with the timing. And especially as somebody who has in good faith since January on this event in particular, maybe not all of them, but on this one in particular, really engaged and make sure that everybody was going to be compliant. So to have this dramatic shift in the interpretation and to have it be communicated in this way, I think is a huge failure in the communications to folks, I think we all understand the rules are not always what we'd like them to be, but this could have been communicated much, much better. And I hope that in the future, you know, especially if event organizers are reaching out to you proactively, you would change major shifts. You would change the interpretations with more than 48 hours. So I'll leave it up to the licensees. They're the ones who are truly exposed and most impacted by this directly to express how they feel. But I hope in the future there can be better lines of communication.
Yeah, thanks, Eli. And I do appreciate the kind of proactive communication. We discussed this after the public comment session. Next on the list, Elizabeth.
Yes, hi, this is Elizabeth from Rolling J's Farm, Stir the Pot Cannabis Kitchen. I would agree with Eli that receiving that email on Monday was a bit difficult. It would have been much better to have it sooner. So I appreciate Eli's mentioning that. And I hope that in future that, you know, the timing of that would improve. But what I really am wanting to talk to you about is packaging for manufacturing. As I know you all know, packaging has been a significant pain point for manufacturers from day one. Because the rules are written such that we are so dependent on packaging from China with all of the logistical challenges that poses. Since the imposition of the Trump tariffs, it has changed from a pain point to a point of sheer unadulterated misery, right? Because basically I'm wanting to order packaging for our products that we're about to register, and I'm faced with the choice of either ordering something from China with very, very uncertain and probably extremely high costs and also very uncertain shipping times, or choosing to pivot to an American-made product, Mylar bags, that is only waived for the next couple of months, right? And so do I risk buying something that may or may not be renewed, or do I suck up 150% increase in cost by ordering from China? So that is a really miserable business decision, potentially a business killing decision if I make the wrong one. So I am speaking today to ask you to extend all the existing packaging waivers for 2 years, right? All the other state agencies in Vermont have stepped up very courageously and energetically to support Vermonters who are being impacted by the policies from Washington. And so I'm going to ask you to do that so that you protect the cannabis community and particularly the manufacturers from things that could really put their businesses under. Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind just emailing me some of the kind of price differentials that you're looking at for your packaging. You know, what they used to be and what they are now with the Trump tariffs.
Right, and of course, that's very uncertain, but sure.
Okay, great. Yeah. All right, Chris Vickers.
Hi guys, Chris Vickers, Root Lane Cannabis, Hickory Hash and Bud. I'm a tier 1 mixed cultivator and a tier 1 manufacturer. And yeah, I mean, first I just want to talk about how this public comment, it's just so frustrating to have it only in the beginning of the meeting. It's really our only way of interacting with you guys. And, you know, we're the boots on the ground, we're the people in the trenches. And I think we can offer a lot to your decision making. And it's just so hard when a topic comes up and then it's kind of like, well, hold that thought for a month and you can bring it up at the beginning of the next meeting. I just wish that there was a time in the beginning and at the end of each meeting for us to just give our comments. I know we're not even asking questions. I guess the topic that I really want to talk about is the aspergillus, and I think you guys all got it wrong. We're not talking about a contaminated product. For the most part, what we're talking about is a spore that lands on our cannabis plants and then is tested, and that spore fails our entire process lot. Now, I don't think it really takes very much. And I really ask you guys to just do a little bit of research. You could ask ChatGPT, you could look it up, but we are all inhaling these spores every single day, all of us, with no ill effect because we don't have a compromised immune system. So the people who are inhaling cannabis with a compromised immune system shouldn't be, really, as they shouldn't be going into a moldy home or going out into the woods possibly, because there's more aspergillus spores just even in the woods. But these spores are everywhere. And what's happening is it's not 20% of the cultivators in this state are trying to pass off moldy weed to the public. That's just not happening. We have a spore that is everywhere, that is landing on our bud, and then we're taking it in to have it tested, and that entire process lot is then condemned as being contaminated. And that's just ridiculous. That is not a contaminated product. We're not talking about something that is dangerous to the people. This is something that we all inhale every day. You can easily look it up online how much this stuff is around us. It's everywhere. And I just want you to think about possibly making some changes. I think that aspergillus testing should be eliminated. And what we should be doing is testing for mycotoxin testing, which would actually cover moldy weed. If the product that somebody is trying to put onto market is moldy, then mycotoxin testing would pick that up. And anybody who's doing that, who's trying to put moldy weed on the market, should be shut down anyway. I mean, that's just terrible business practices. And really, the public would shut them down just by them trying to do that in the first place. So what I'm thinking is, a warning label where it says, do not use if pregnant or breastfeeding. Let's change that to do not use if pregnant, breastfeeding, or have a compromised immune system. And I know that it's adding more to that paragraph, and that it's already enough, but I don't think there's a cultivator in the state that would object to putting that little change into their labels going forward, so that people could at least have like that warning hot label on their coffee. It's kind of like, it's ridiculous. Like, obviously we're growing in soil. We have these spores all around us. And I just don't think that you guys are really understanding that it's not a contaminated product, that it is just a spore, and one spore causes a fail. So maybe just try to reconsider, talk with the labs. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of public comment input telling you all about it all. So yeah, maybe you can just do a little research and figure that out. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Any other public comments? And if you joined via phone and would like to comment, you can unmute by hitting *6. Jake?
Hi, this is Jake Grossman-Christ, Bottom Farm Company in New Haven, Vermont. My comment is more just a general comment of observation. I was born and raised in Vermont. I've been a licensed cannabis cultivator in Northern California in Trinity County since 2016-17 for the inception of county licensing or state licensing. A LAFCO board member in Trinity County, so I understand both sides of sitting on a commission or being the applicant. It feels nostalgic listening to these public comments and also going through the licensing program in Vermont, because it feels like I'm hearing the exact same questions, comments, and problems that we experienced in 2016, 17, 17, 18, all the way forward. I would encourage and implore the powers that be to really look into some other programs that are kind of from the same shape community that we are in Vermont, but that have been, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years down the road with this. The solutions are out there. A lot of the structure that's put in place, if you look at some of these other counties or states, at this point is antiquated in Vermont because they've already seen the issues, corrected it. We don't have to go through those 15 steps that they already went through there to get to a functioning solution. The biggest one that I've seen overall is the moving goalpost that is so difficult for an applicant to build their business, order it, packaging inventory, or schedule events, or design their stuff, where we have the department trying to interpret the different rules. I recently had a conversation with the fire marshal, and they said, I don't understand why cannabis is different than every other business. We do it this way with every other business, but the cannabis department is telling us we can't do that. So I would just love to encourage everybody to keep up the hard work, but also remember, we have the advantage of being behind a lot of other states who have suffered through some of this stuff. We don't need to suffer through. Let's look for their answers, and let's also have faith in our other departments that, the fire department, that's their specialty. They know the right answer. Let's look to them to ask, are they compliant or not? Yes or no, not reinvent their wheel. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Tito?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So I just want to, I want to show my support for what fellow grower Hickory, Chris Vickers said. He said it very well. It does seem like a really elegant way to move forward with this aspergillus issue, which is just to change the warning label. If we could just add one sentence on that warning label, just saying that it's not for immunocompromised people, it does feel like we can really avoid a ton of these issues. Thank you. Hope you're having a good day.
Thanks, Tito. Dave?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. Teams, it might work for you, but I prefer Zoom. I wanted to just say thank you for the proposal that you put out today to the legislature on, farmers market, showcase, whatever it is you want to call it, limited events. I know a lot of work went into that. Including talking to a lot of different industry groups and stakeholders. And I think the proposal looks really good. And so I just wanted to say thanks. So thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Once, twice. Okay. All right. I'm going to close the public comment window. Appreciate everyone's input. Just on the timing of the public comment, I should just note that we moved it to the beginning so that people could look at the agenda and comment on the things in the agenda. And I think we discussed at our last meeting that maybe if we have a consequential vote that we could add maybe a public comment window in if needed.
I will just add that you can always submit a public comment on our website. The board gets those public comments sent to us directly. And I see a lot of names on my screen that call me and email me all the time. And Chris or anybody else is welcome to do so as well. I don't like the narrative that we're only reachable for an hour a day or an hour a month, because it's just simply not true. So feel free if you want to have a conversation.
Yeah, I should say as a procedural matter, it's kind of generally recognized as a best practice to have public comment at the beginning. That's why city councils do it. That's why school boards do it. If you try the other way, you get a lot of mic dropping at the end, or somebody might say something to a large crowd that bears correction, then just stands for a month. So there's no perfect solution, but the solution almost every public body has taken is the one this one does.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're not hard to find if you want to have a conversation. I should say it's about these broader market stuff. If it's about your specific license, that's better equipped for our staff to handle.
Is it worth responding to the communication issue about the event?
I can say the very first, we suspect this is probably an issue with the expo itself. Champlain Valley Expo is run by a 501c3 administrator. And when you go to use that space, you come to an agreement with them that has certain terms. Looking at NECAN's very first page is necan.com/Vermont. You'll find a sentence that contains the words "no displaying cannabis."
This is not the NECAN control board, is this?
Expo property.
Eli, we closed the public comment window. You can listen to Gabe and email me. You got my email address. I'm just trying to dig in.
So I think the folks that we're communicating with licensees are more interested in just keeping people out of issues. So if the CVE, if the venue itself, NECAN, is saying there's no displaying cannabis, it's hard to explain why there would be an expectation to the contrary. As a regulatory matter, I think it's just safer not to do that with regard to wanting to display cans. They needn't have any content. It takes care of the security issues. It takes care of surveillance. It takes care of any risk of diversion. It makes perfect sense. And I think a lot of people do go around with the cylinders with display, sealed cylinders with display and a magnifying glass. I don't think that's a capital offense from a regulatory perspective. It's probably happening all the time, but it does create a problem of how do you ensure that no one person has more than an ounce at a time? What are the transportation arrangements? And it's just sort of like, why incur all the costs and risks associated with this to have a display cylinder? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But overwhelmingly, I think this is probably an issue with the venue itself.
Well, I do stand by my comments that I appreciate the outreach. I know Eli did reach out early, so that's a good. It's good to start early and be sure. Apologize if there was any miscommunications. All right, going down the agenda. We're on to the executive director report.
Right. That would be me. Going next, indeed. All right, here we are, our monthly executive director report. So a quick update on our educational and outreach initiatives first. So earlier this month, we hosted our peer networking event on the changes made to the inventory tracking forms. The event was well attended. We had a lot of members in our community engaged thoughtfully with our compliance team, both during the event and afterwards. And we do appreciate that level of engagement that we have enjoyed from our community. So thank you all for that. And looking forward, on our May agenda is the Cannabis Competitions peer networking event, which I think is quite timely and will address, hopefully, some questions and issues during that time. It's scheduled for May 21st, and Patrick, as always, will advertise the event broadly as we get closer to the date. Again, everybody is encouraged to participate, share ideas, suggestions, experiences, and we'll welcome all of that. So that's a quick update here. Moving on. And so we'll start here with our adult use program licensing data, which is all current as of April 16th, unless otherwise noted. So in addition to our regular slides, this month we'll take a closer look at license revocations. I know we had questions about those from the board. We'll also take a look at the historical application trends now that our cultivation and retail application windows have temporarily been closed. And our data manager, Liz, has had a chance to pull those numbers. So might be a walk down memory lane for the board here. And we'll also take a quick look at the latest product registration data as well. So I'll dive right in here. So you all know that slide. That's just a quick review of our current active licenses. You're looking at 3 months of data. So 632 is the new number, our highest yet. As you could probably tell, the numbers are pretty stable, showing just small gains in our cultivator category, as the last of the cultivators approved in the March board meeting have received their licenses. And we also have a gain of 1 manufacturer. Another familiar slide is a priority status slide. I just include that. Again, no changes here, steady months over months. Next, here, we'll look at just a cultivator-specific slide. Those are issued cultivation licenses broken down by type and tier. If you were to turn the totals into percentages, we are at 41% for our indoor licensees total. We are at 33% for our mixed, and 25% of our mixed and 33% for our outdoor category. Again, as you can see, indoor tier 1 continues to lead the way. Yeah. Another quick look here, that's our manufacturing licenses, just one change here months over months. One tier 2 manufacturer has joined our licensed pool, and about 75% of our licensees are tier 2. You can see here. So that's sort of a quick look at the familiar slides. And here's a new data set. So the next few slides show some historical application submission information. We are looking back at the very beginning of the adult use program. So here, so this blue line represents initial applications submitted to the CCB. So we got over 700 new submissions since July of 2022. And then you could see the green line, that's the data point of our pre-qual applications. So again, just a quick little chart that can help you visualize the spikes that we have experienced and where we're at right now in terms of the new applications. Again, not renewals, just the new.
All right.
We'll look now. So that's just a cultivator slide, sort of similar idea. It's a very kind of, the graph is a bit dense here, so I apologize about that. But for anybody who is interested in taking some time to take a look at it, maybe at a later date, you could sort of see the patterns. You could see different types of our licensees. And when most of some applications were submitted. So say we were to look at February 2024, you could see that that month we received 5 new indoor applications. We received 2 mixed, 14 outdoor, and 22 new pre-qual applications for indoor. So again, sort of a visual as far as to how our when folks submitted and which license types and tiers were most popular license types. So again, good. Yeah, again, this might, folks might want to take some time with it at a later date. Another similar slide for our manufacturers. It's an interesting one here. You could see that the majority of the applications came in during the summer of 2022, and it's been more of a trickle ever since. Again, there was that initial rush of interest from our manufacturers, and then some substantial tampering in submissions over time. Again, could take a look at different tiers and how they all line up. Okay, I'll move on. Here's our retailers. Much like manufacturing, we saw the highest influx of our retail application during the summer of 2022. There is a noticeable spike again in October of 2024, which coincides with our announcement about the retail pause. So
does this mean that some folks have gone ahead and tried to get pre-qualified for retail whenever that does open back up?
Some folks have tried to submit their pre-qualification applications, but our team has informed them that it's not available. Okay. Yeah. So those applications would be dismissed.
Gotcha.
But yes, some folks have tried to look into. Yep. All right. So that is sort of your historical data that we pulled together. And now we have another set of slides just devoted to the deactivated licenses. Again, the goal here is to help us better understand who is exiting the market, whether those exits are voluntary or if those are the results of the decisions of the compliance and enforcement team. So a little color here. So we'll start with this slide that just shows the number of license deactivations by license type over the last 4 months. So we are looking back at January of this year. So each block corresponds to a month. So April data is in the last block. Cultivators are shown in green, and they represent the largest group of all deactivations. So 7 cultivators, cultivation licenses were deactivated in April. And you could sort of look back to January, and you could probably see that 4 manufacturers left the market and 2 wholesalers, plus 1 integrated licensee. So that's sort of the quick look. Let me show you a couple more slides here. Here we'll review the same deactivations through the priority status of our licensees. Again, January through April, and orange is our orange color represent our standard licensees. So they make up the majority of the activations here. Social equity folks and businesses are shown in blue. So 1 exited this month, 6 total over the course of the last 4 months, and 5 economic empowerment licenses were deactivated so far this year. Moving on.
Sure.
So here you could sort of, this slide breaks down the top level reasons behind the deactivations. So you could see that in the months of April, 8 license deactivations were due to voluntary relinquishments. That's this sort of blue-gray color. As you could see, red represents a revocation. So that was triggered by the CCB, that one relinquishment, the revocation. Not relinquishment, the deactivation of a license. And yellow bar is for tier changes. So we had 2 cultivators who moved up a tier, 1 in the March and 1 in April. So their original license had to be deactivated once the new license was issued. So we capture them here, but that's not, not clear cut on those folks. Yep. So that is this slide, and I think I have a, yep.
So when we close down applications for new cultivators, I kind of felt that we would also be closing tier increase requests, which these probably came in that window, because I think it was, I forget.
Yeah.
So like, I understand accommodating them, but I think was that our intention to not allow people to like?
I don't think anybody, Melissa will know, but I think the square footage has not changed, right?
Yeah, it was
Tearing down.
It was during the before we closed.
Okay.
So
That's what I
they
figured.
were allowed to,
Yeah.
if you want to increase, you have to do it now.
Absolutely.
We approved them and then they finished it
I just
out.
want to make sure that Julie and Kyle are all on the same page. with
I think
that.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. And I think one more slide here. So our compliance team actually collects data on the primary reasons what that businesses choose to relinquish their licenses. So the data in this chart is representative of the time frame January through April, and collected during the cessation of operation process. Not every licensee has shared their feedback, but majority of them have given us their reasons. And so it's a fairly comprehensive snapshot. I know that the respondents could select more than one reason as to why they were exiting the market. So some have mentioned 2 or 3, and they're all reflected in this chart. So that's what we have right now.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. All right. So now we'll take a quick look at our product registration data. Just a couple slides here. So here, we'll time frame March 20th through April 20th. What we have here is we are reporting just over 5,000 registered products in our system. We can look at the chart to see what specific products are currently registered. And as you can see, flower, vape cartridges, edibles, our leading categories. The numbers also show that a total of 654 new products were submitted for registration, and we only have 169 products in the queue for our review on April 20th. So we are touching a lot of product registrations, products in real time. So team is doing amazing. That's, and the numbers prove it. Yeah.
The burden might get eased a little bit with the 2-year product registrations being debated.
Yeah.
We shall see.
We shall see. I mean, once the devil is in details, but we'll be ready to
It's interesting
yeah.
to me that flour has maintained such a huge market share. That there hasn't been that much movement to other things.
No. Yep. Okay, I have one more slide for you on product registrations, a little blurry, but this one sort of shows our current turnaround times for product registrations, addresses some other questions. So again, we are looking at 1 month timeframe. So you could see the average days to register are about 16 and a half, but without an incomplete is under 12, right? So folks who submit their information on correctly, right or bad, and those are calendar days. Yep. So that's our time frame. And then if you look at those colorful bars below, you could see that the average product registration times are more specifically based on the product type. So again, topicals are still the product type that takes the longest, and then clones and flower. And again, mostly because there are incompletions. Incompletions are more common, but under a month, even for topicals.
Yeah. Significant improvement from where
Yeah.
it was. I think we were at 30 days or something the last time we looked at these numbers.
Yeah. Well, last time I think we've done really well this calendar
I guess
year.
the first time we looked at them, they were pretty substantial.
Yeah, I would say a year ago it did
Yeah.
not look as good, but right now we're on track. All right, so that's our product registration data, and we'll jump into our compliance and enforcement data next. So here you could see 70 inspections and 14 active investigations for the month of April. Majority in cultivation. I'll go through the next couple slides for some more color. Okay, so inspections here, April is in this light peach color. It's kind of hard to see, but that's what we got. So 33 cultivation site inspections, 17 manufacturing, and 20 retail. Pretty well split, pretty equally, I guess. And then investigations for the months of April. Again, light peach color, 5 in cultivation, 7 in retail, and 2 in manufacturing that are active right now. I'll move on, a bit more information. So overall, different types of compliance actions are represented here. 3 months worth of data as usual. So 33 recorded complaints. We're tracking months over months, kind of in the same range. In our complaints, we got 16 formal letters of warning issued. So that was a significant jump. 4 notices of violation, 2 witness destructions, and 7 cessations of operation that were documented by our staff out in the field.
So those cessations of operations, those aren't necessarily a license revocation. They're
Correct.
Us overseeing a company winding down.
Winding down, yes, exactly. So it's more of a compliance, not the enforcement action, but yes. So that's that. More specifically looking at the complaint types, you could see the breakdown with the advertising violations, alleged advertising violations continuing to lead the way. And then we got 5 each related to diversion and product specific issues in the last month.
I don't know if you have information on this, but do the complaints come from, are they generated from the compliance staff, or do they come through the complaint form?
Well, majority of complaints come through the complaint form.
Okay.
Our compliance agents do use forms sometimes to document violations that they absorb.
Yeah.
So,
Those complaint forms can be filled out anonymously.
Yeah.
It does. In the past, I know it's inhibited us being able to follow up on them, with the person if there's missing information, but just want to make sure everyone knows those can be filled out anonymously. It asks for your contact info, but you don't have to put It's not required. You don't have to.
Yeah, and it depends on the complaint. You know, some of them can't move forward if you don't have a name associated with it, but some could. So it helps to have a name, but obviously there is a way in most cases for the team to look into that. All right, couple more slides here. So I know the board was interested in the types of investigations, the topics. So the team pulled together some information on that. So each chart represents a license type. And you could sort of see specific investigations that are tied to different licenses. So for example, if we were to look at our cultivation investigations, right, our team is working on a couple product related. Those could be anything from issues with COA or some type of adulteration of flower, inversion, right? Report that there is an illegal grow somewhere. Pesticide, that on that one, it's related to a detection that would be below an action level, but our team would pick it up and look into that further. So those are sort of the examples of investigations that the compliance and enforcement team engages in. On retail, employee issues are typically related to employee ID cards. So those would be the investigations. Business operations could be a lot of different things. For example, accepting a temporary ID at the point of sale, right? Something like that could trigger an investigation. Obviously, diversion. This would be related to having unlicensed products for sale at a retail establishment, most common. So that's kind of the overview. Manufacturing is usually tied to the product quality, reports of a product that doesn't look right. So that's sort of a quick review. And those are all current right now, all topics.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Similarly, letters of warning. Those are the reasons for the letters of warning that have been issued over the course of the last months. You could see advertising is the most popular reason that folks receive those letters. We have a very good template that gets a lot of use on that one. So I'll move on. And then notices of violations. As I mentioned, there were 4. So lapse of insurance, we had 3 of those that went out. And then there was a issue with a product that involved intoxicated hemp. That was another NOV. All right, so that is it for the compliance and enforcement data.
Thank you.
Good. All right, quick look at our medical program. Our one quick little slide. So a year worth of numbers. Interestingly enough, year over year, our caregiver count is exactly the same, 117. Went up and then down again. And our patient count, did quick math, is down 166 if we were to compare April of 2024 to now. Okay. All right, so that is it for the sort of data slides. And now we are on to the staff recommendations for licensure. Dive in. Our first slide here is our staff recommendations for initial licensure. With milestone here, we have our first ever propagator on the list. So there is the first.
Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if the vote
Oh, yeah.
comes through first.
Yeah. So we should vote on this separately.
I would say, well, yes, that's probably if it works.
We do have a motion for.
I move that the board adopt staff recommendations to approve the applications listed, issuance subject to final payment of required fees and any other contingencies.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And I have conventional license renewals. We have 2 slides here. this slide just have the cultivators. I'll leave it on for a quick second. And a second slide here, mostly cultivators and a couple manufacturers as well. And all licenses in this and previous slide are recommended for approval by our staff.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve these?
I move that the board adopt staff recommendations to approve the renewal of the applications listed, issuance subject to final payment of required fees and any other contingencies.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We have a couple of unique situations. to-
Yes, we do. So here on this slide, so we have a couple businesses. So we have an application from a cultivator looking to make significant change, moving from an outdoor tier 2 to a mixed tier 1, and also changing locations from North Clarendon to Springfield. The town of Springfield LCC has approved this transition already. And our licensing team recommends that the board issue its approval for this change. And the second establishment on the slide also has a proposed relocation. This would be from North Hyde Park to Morrisville. Morrisville does not have an LCC, so no municipal approval was needed. And as you can see, both are cultivators. And our team recommends approval for our second establishment as well.
I had a question.
Mhm.
I take the position that it's not our job to enforce the zoning setbacks
Mhm.
for outdoor cultivation. That's really a local decision. But I'm wondering if we mention it to people when they're trying to change locations that have an outdoor portion of their cultivation, that, hey, by the way, your town
Mhm.
may have a
Mhm.
up to 50-foot setback
Mm.
or that applies to outdoor cultivators.
Yeah, I'll see if we have that and as a part of our sort of process, but
Yeah.
if not, definitely makes sense.
At
that-
this point, when we have our cultivation
Yeah.
closed, it's probably not gonna, I mean, we're not gonna have any new ones,
Yeah.
but maybe if there's changes in locations.
Yeah, that would be, no, that's a good flag. I'll make sure that our team is doing that.
These people have an LCC, local cannabis commission, so hopefully that they would flag it for
Flag it.
them.
Yeah,
but-
it's regularly approved, so.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, there, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Any other questions from the staff on this?
Nope.
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve these?
I move that the board adopt staff recommendations to approve the license amendment for the location change for the applications listed, issuance subject to final payment of required fees and any other contingencies.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. I think I have one more for you. So this final slide is an incomplete renewal. The cannabis establishment listed on your screen has filed explanations for untimely filing under Rule 115.1 DI, but the elements required for this establishment's renewal are still unresolved. All of the materials have been shared with the board ahead of this meeting, including written details shared by the applicant earlier this week, including a DEC wastewater permit that was needed. After initial license issuance, the establishment decided not to follow the operating timeline and still is not operating. It also emerged that the structure requires a DFS occupancy certificate. It has yet to obtain. Due to a number of complex circumstances, staff recommends that the board use its authority under subdivision D2 to continue the existing license in force and ask the applicant's principals to an evidentiary hearing to clarify whether the license is being used in the manner the board approved.
Can I just ask, I'm looking at their late filing narrative.
Mhm.
Okay, never mind, sorry. Never mind. Wait, no, I do have a question. They call themselves Bottom Farm Company in their late filing narrative. Is there a reason why it's Bottom Farm with an O, not a U? Which is a very technical thing.
The correct spelling, I think, is the U is a family name.
Okay,
I'm guessing it's an autocorrect.
okay, yeah, I'm looking at their narrative. And
I bet it was autocorrect.
No, I think the spelling on the screen is the correct one.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure about that. Okay, all right. So there's a few outstanding issues. There's a few things that we probably want to just get on the record and have an opportunity for the board to ask these folks questions about things that are different between their application and their operating plans. What's happening in reality. That's the basic.
Yeah, it's just staff recommendations that get elevated to the board, given the complexities of the historical and current situation and various requirements. Yep.
And we would do that at our mid-May meeting or separate from that?
As part of your mid-May meeting, similar to you've done hearings, for example, usually on affiliations.
Yep.
Similar thing. It's just getting complicated enough that it's better probably to have a two-way conversation on the record than to just exchange letters and talk past money.
Mm-hmm. And assuming that's the path forward, we'll reach out to the business and request what's a specific date, which we'll plan for being the mid-month meeting.
I keep seeing these guys' hands go up in the waiting room. This isn't the appropriate time or place to have a back and forth discussion about this issue.
No, I wouldn't do it here, but they're welcome to call afterward.
Okay.
We can let them know it's
okay. The only decision that we're making today is whether or not to have the hearing.
Also, if you want to extend
the license until after the hearing has been resolved and we get the answers, that we can make a fully informed decision.
Yeah.
Yes, in concept, you could try to decide the license today, but I don't think you know enough.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll extend the license, hold the hearing, and then have some kind of decision after that.
That makes sense.
Got it. Okay. Do you have a motion for
I
that?
sure do. I move that the board defer action on the renewal application listed and continue the license in force until our mid-May evidentiary hearing meeting so that we can hear from the applicants.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any final discussion about that?
Nope.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Great.
That's that.
Thank you, Olga, and the entire CCB team. It was great. And thank you for everyone who joined as well and for the public comment at the beginning. I think we're at the end of our agenda. So I will adjourn this meeting.